Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mrs. Bracy with your lesson on graphing quadratic functions. I'm going to try to make this short because I would like you to copy the flashcard for next class as well, and I'm going to show you some videos and we're going to do some cool things in class to see some more information about quadratic functions. But I think, as you know by now, a quadratic function is going to make a parabola when we graph it. So we're always going to be looking for that parabola shape, and what we're going to actually be doing is getting these parabolas plotted on a graph, which we've been doing a lot on the calculator. Now we're going to do by hand, okay? So as we know by now, a quadratic function has to have ax squared plus bx plus c, and because we're now graphing, it's either going to have y equals or f of x equals in the front, so that makes it a function. When you graph a quadratic function, the first thing I'm going to want you to do is I'm going to want you to graph it in your calculator, okay? So, if you're at school, you're going to have your TI Inspire to use. If you're at home, you have hopefully an app or some sort of online application you can use to graph in your calculator, because I want you to see what it's going to look like before you even start putting that information on paper. Okay, then you're going to find the vertex of the parabola. The vertex is the turning point. So it's either the point all the way at the top or the point all the way at the bottom, depending on which way it's going. Okay, so if it's an upside down parabola, there's your turning point. If it goes this way, there's your turning point. So you need to find the coordinates of the vertex, because as you can see, a parabola is going to be symmetric, so it's going to go in the same direction on either side of the vertex. So we want to make sure that we have that vertex as a starting point, and then we can go on either side of the vertex. So we're going to use that information to make a table, okay? Your table has to have at least 5 values. Okay, so you're going to have the vertex and 2 on either side, or you can go further than that, but you have to have at least the vertex and 2 on either side. And then from there, you're just going to plot the points and go ahead and make your graph. And of course, we don't want to forget to put arrows and a label on our parabola. Okay, so let's go ahead and try this. So here's a function, y equals x squared minus 4. So what I'm going to do real quick here is get my graphing calculator up on the screen, and I'm going to open a new document. Now I know you aren't able to do this with me right now, but you can just watch and then we'll do this in class. And so our function was y equals x squared minus 4. So we're going to type that in, hit enter, and there's our nice little parabola. Now there's lots of things we're going to be able to do with this that I'm going to show you, but right now I'm going to show you how to find the vertex. So to get the vertex, you go to Menu, Analyze Graph, and then you have to tell it if it's a minimum or a maximum. So if you remember what the graph looked like, it was at the bottom, so I'm going to say minimum. I'm going to click on the left of the vertex, drag over, and click on the right of the vertex, and there's my vertex right there, 0, -4. Okay? Now, I need to know that the vertex is at 0, -4, because when I go to my table, that's the first thing I'm going to look for. So to get to the table, we're going to hit Control T. Now remember, all of this you're not going to necessarily memorize right now, all the steps on the calculator, but I will show you this in class. Now what I want to do is I want to get this 0, -4 right in the center. And so now you can see I have 5 values on my screen with 0, -4 in the center. And you're going to copy this table onto your paper. So I want you to go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to do it on mine, and then I'll click back on it once I copy them. So all of the numbers, -2, 0, -1, -3, 0, -4, 1, -3, and 2, 0. Now remember a minute ago I said about parabolas being symmetric. Did you notice in the y column there's some symmetry? The -4 is all by itself, but then there's a -3 on top and bottom. There's a 0 on top and bottom. That's because of the symmetry of the parabola. Okay, so back to your paper. Hopefully you wrote that down. If you didn't, you can do that now. Don't forget you can pause the video if you need to. Here's the 5 points I need to plot. So I'm going to go ahead and plot these on my graph. And when I do this, I'm doing it real quick because I have done this a million times. You can pause it if you need to. I get a little bit of a parabola, but I really don't know where my parabola is going as I go upwards. So I'm going to go back to my calculator real quick here and get one more value. So I'm just going to arrow up. And I see that -3 should go with 5. Now, if -3 goes with 5, then the next point on the other side goes with 5, so 3 goes with 5. So back to your packet, you can now plot -3, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 3, 5, and that gives you a little bit better idea of where the parabola is going. This is actually the hardest part, is to get a nice U shape here. So I like to start at the top and kind of swoop down and back up. And just the most important thing is don't make it look like a V. Really make sure it's rounded at the bottom. If you need to do the bottom and then the sides, or one half and then the other half, whatever it is, just don't make it look like a V shape, okay? So there's your parabola. I'm going to label it y equals x squared minus 4. And I have it graphed and I'm good to go. Okay, now if you flip the page really quick, you can see on the next page there's a different graph, but I just want you to look really quick. I won't do that now, we'll do this in class, but I just want you to look at the vocabulary down at the bottom. It's asking for, number 1, the domain and range. Number 2, the end behavior. Number 3, the interval over which the graph is increasing. Number 4, the interval over which the graph is decreasing. Does it have a relative minimum or maximum? Or an absolute minimum or maximum. And lastly, is the function even, odd, or neither? We talked about all of these vocabulary words in Unit 1. So one thing I want you to do is to go back and look at your flashcards from Unit 1. The flashcards were numbers 1 through 3. And I want you to look back at those and just remind yourself of this vocabulary a little bit, so that when I ask you questions about it in class, you'll be able to answer them. Okay, the other thing I want you to do is to copy the flashcard. So here it is, it's flashcard number 28. And so just like we have been, you can either pause the video now and copy it down, or you can get this off of Instagram if that's easier for you. And then you should be able to have that ready for class, next class. Okay, so I hope this was helpful. Like I said, if you need to pause the video, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, I will see you in class.